Max Jensen was never one for protocol. But today, his disdain for the rules could have catastrophic consequences, or so he thought as he juggled a slice of pepperoni pizza while recalibrating the alien console aboard the Ulysses. The scent of melted cheese wafted through the air, a stark contrast to the sterile, metallic environment of the spaceship. Max glanced over his shoulder, half expecting Captain Lisan Nguyen to catch him red-handed, breaking the cardinal rule: no food at the workstations. In the vastness of space, the Ulysses orbited a barren planet, its surface a patchwork of grays and browns, completely devoid of life. Max's role as an engineer was supposed to be straightforward: maintain the ship's systems and assist in the integration of newly acquired alien technology meant for terraforming. However, his laid-back attitude often led him to take liberties with the less exciting parts of his job description. As he leaned over the console, his pizza slice perilously perched on a stack of technical manuals, Max was blissfully unaware of the sequence of events he was about to trigger. The ship's interior was quiet, save for the gentle hum of the engines and the occasional beep from the console, creating a rhythm that Max found soothing. Suddenly, the console flickered to life under the unexpected weight of the greasy pizza. Max jumped back, his heart racing as he watched in horror. The grease from his lunch had seeped into the intricate patterns of the control panel, patterns that mirrored the enigmatic designs of the alien technology. "What the?" Max stammered, wiping his hands on his overalls as he frantically tried to assess the situation. The screen began displaying sequences of symbols and numbers, none of which made any sense to him. They were commands, he realized, but to what end? Before he could formulate a plan, the ship trembled slightly, a low rumble echoing through the hull. Max's eyes widened as he connected the dots. The alien console wasn't just some glorified navigation tool. It was actively interfacing with the terraforming equipment aimed at the planet below. "Max, what's going on?" The sharp voice of Captain Nguyen cut through the confusion as she strode onto the bridge, her eyes narrowing at the sight of the pizza debacle. Max turned, a slice still in hand, his face a mask of guilt and bewilderment. "I think I might have accidentally started something." Captain Nguyen followed his gaze to the console, her expression turning from irritation to outright alarm. "You what?" Outside the viewport, the barren planet began to change. Clouds started forming, swirling in patterns that were both chaotic and beautiful. Max and Captain Nguyen watched in stunned silence as the first signs of an atmosphere materialized from nothing. Max's accidental lunch placement had done the unthinkable. It had initiated the terraforming protocol. And as the implications of his blunder dawned on him, Max realized that sometimes, even in the vast, calculated expanse of space, it was the smallest, most human mistakes that led to the greatest discoveries. The bridge of the Ulysses was suddenly abuzz with a frenetic energy that reverberated through its steel corridors as the crew members rushed to their stations, their faces etched with a mixture of confusion and anticipation. Captain Lisan Nguyen stood rigid, her gaze fixed on the main viewport as the barren planet began its rapid metamorphosis. "Status report now," she barked, her voice cutting through the chaos like a laser. Dr. Emily Santos, the ship's lead scientist, toggled through the data streaming in on her console, her fingers moving with practiced urgency. "It's incredible, Captain. The atmospheric composition is changing. Nitrogen levels rising, oxygen forming. It's as if the planet is coming alive." Max, still holding the greasy slice of pizza that had started it all, felt a surreal sense of disbelief wash over him. He stared at the alien console, its lights blinking in a rhythmic pattern that seemed almost celebratory. "I just put my pizza down for a second," he muttered to himself, still struggling to grasp the magnitude of his mistake. Captain Nguyen turned sharply towards him, her eyes narrowing. "This isn't the time for jokes, Jensen. Whatever you did activated the terraforming process. We need to understand how and why this happened." Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Max quickly composed himself. He approached the console, examining the grease patterns smeared across the interface. The alien tech must be programmed to respond to organic biosignatures. He theorized aloud. Maybe it interpreted the grease as some kind of bio-encrypted command. Dr. Santos, overhearing the conversation, approached with a look of intrigue. That's plausible. The alien civilization that built this tech was rumored to be highly advanced, possibly using bioorganic components as a base for their technology. This could be a breakthrough. Captain Nguyen, though visibly stressed, acknowledged the potential silver lining. All right, Santos Jensen, I want a full analysis of this incident. Look into this biosignature theory. We need to control this technology, not be at its mercy. As the hours passed, the bridge transformed into a hive of activity. Max and Dr. Santos worked in tandem, running simulations and tests to decipher the exact parameters that had triggered the response. Outside, the planet continued its transformation, clouds swirling and coalescing into weather systems, patches of green flickering into existence across the dull surface. "Look at this," Dr. Santos exclaimed, pointing to a series of readouts on her display. The console's interface is definitely reactive to organic materials. Max's pizza grease, rich in lipids and proteins, acted like a key, unlocking the terraforming protocols embedded in the system. Max, who was less accustomed to making monumental scientific discoveries, especially by accident, felt a mix of pride and trepidation. So I literally fed the machine some human touch, and it worked. "It's more than that," Dr. Santos replied, her voice filled with wonder. "Your accident has provided us with a valuable insight into alien biotechnology. We could potentially replicate this interaction, use it to terraform other planets." As night fell on the Ulysses, the crew gathered at the viewport, watching the once lifeless planet bloom with the nascent blues and greens of an emerging world. Captain Nguyen stood beside Max, her earlier frustration softened into grudging admiration. "Jensen, when we get back to Earth, remind me to recommend a raise for you. Just try to keep your lunch off the equipment next time." Max grinned, his earlier anxiety replaced by a sense of accomplishment. "Will do, Captain. Will do." The chapter closed on a note of cautious optimism. The Ulysses crew had inadvertently stumbled upon a new method of interstellar terraforming, one that promised a future filled with possibilities, as long as they kept an eye on where they placed their pizza. The newfound vitality of the planet below the Ulysses was now impossible to ignore. From the observation deck, the crew watched as vast swaths of barren land transformed into sprawling grasslands and sporadic clusters of trees, painting a living mosaic on a canvas that had been blank for millennia. Amid this backdrop of rapid ecological birth, Max Jensen, Dr. Emily Santos, and the rest of the crew were tasked with unraveling the profound implications of their accidental discovery. In the ship's main lab, a room filled with gleaming equipment and the hum of active machinery, Dr. Santos was setting up a series of controlled experiments. The lab, typically a place for methodical study and quiet reflection, was buzzing with an unusual mix of excitement and urgency. "Max, bring over the samples I asked for, please," Dr. Santos called out, her eyes not leaving the microscope through which she was observing the interaction between various organic compounds and small-scale replicas of the alien console. Max, balancing a tray with vials of different organic liquids, navigated his way through the busy lab. "Here you go, Emily. Everything from amino acids to zucchini extract. If you need more, I guess I could part with my lunch again." Dr. Santos smiled briefly at the jest before becoming serious again. "Thanks, Max. Let's see if we can replicate the console's reaction without further risking the ship's primary systems, or your lunch." The tests were meticulous. Each organic compound was applied to the console replicas in a controlled environment, their effects monitored by an array of sensors and recorded in real time. Max, whose engineering expertise was more practical than theoretical, watched in fascination as Dr. Santos explained the reactions. "See here," Dr. Santos pointed to a readout on her screen. "The presence of complex proteins seems to trigger a stronger response. It's consistent with the pizza grease incident. The system might be designed to respond to a wide range of organic signatures, perhaps as a means of integrating or adapting to local biospheres. Meanwhile, Captain Lisan Nguyen convened with the ship's command team to discuss the broader strategic implications. We need to understand not just how, but why this alien technology is designed this way. Could this be a universal terraforming tool? And more importantly, how do we ensure it's controlled and not accidentally triggered again? Her questions reflected the dual sense of opportunity and risk now facing them. The meeting was a blend of tactical planning and philosophical debate about the ethics of wielding such powerful technology. Back in the lab, as the day progressed into evening, Dr. Santos and Max made a breakthrough. They successfully replicated the activation process using a synthesized protein solution, closely mimicking the biochemical makeup of the pizza grease. "We've done it, Max. We can now manually replicate the activation without any, culinary disasters," Dr. Santos exclaimed, a mix of relief and triumph in her voice. Max grinned, wiping a bead of sweat from his brow. "That's amazing, Emily. So, what's next? Do we start terraforming the universe one pizza at a time?" Dr. Santos laughed, then grew contemplative. "Perhaps not the entire universe, but think about it, Max. We could potentially revive dead worlds, bring life to places we thought were forever lost to the cold void of space. We're not just engineers and scientists. Today, we're also creators." As the lab's lights dimmed for the night, the two colleagues stood by the window, looking out at the planet. What had started as an ordinary lunch had spiraled into an extraordinary journey, one that could change the course of human exploration, and perhaps even the understanding of life itself in the cosmos. The bridge of the Ulysses was bathed in the soft glow of dawn's light filtering through the viewport, illuminating the newly green surface of the planet below. It was a sight that stirred hope and wonder in the hearts of the crew, but for Commander Celine Hart, it also underscored the gravity of their accidental discovery and the need for prudent management. Captain Lisan Nguyen convened a strategic meeting early that morning, gathering her senior officers around the main holodeck that displayed real-time data of the planet's transformation. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of excitement and solemn responsibility. "Team, last night's breakthrough by Dr. Santos and Mr. Jensen has given us a unique tool," began Captain Nguyen, her tone both proud and cautious. "However, with great power comes great responsibility. Our next steps must be carefully considered." Dr. Emily Santos stepped forward to present their findings. "Using specific organic compounds, we've managed to replicate the activation sequence of the terraforming protocol without any unintended pizza incidents," she explained, drawing a light chuckle from the room. "This allows us precise control over the terraforming process." Max, standing beside her, added, "We've set up a mini-lab to test various compounds and their effects on different ecological systems. We can literally tailor-make environments now." The room buzzed with murmurs of astonishment and debate. The implications were vast. They could not only terraform this planet, but potentially any lifeless world. Yet each face bore the mark of ethical concern. Was it their right to do so? Captain Nguyen raised her hand for silence. "Our primary concern must always be safety and ethical considerations. We will proceed with caution, starting with controlled experiments on this planet only. I want protocols in place for environmental impact assessments and a committee formed to oversee the ethical aspects of using this technology." With the meeting adjourned, Max and Dr. Santos headed to the mini-lab to begin controlled ecological experiments. The lab, a compact but state-of-the-art facility, was filled with samples of soils, rocks, and atmospheres from various celestial bodies they had encountered in their travels. Their first experiment aimed to create a small, controlled rainforest environment within a sealed biodome on the planet's surface. Max carefully selected a combination of organic compounds that, according to their research, would optimize moisture and temperature levels conducive to rainforest growth. "Initiating sequence now," Max announced, his finger hovering over the console. With a soft beep, the sequence started, and they watched through remote sensors as clouds began to form over the biodome, soon followed by the first drops of rain falling on the dry soil. Within hours, sprouts of green peeked from the earth, growing at a visible rate. "It's working, Emily. Look at that. It's raining in there." Max's voice was filled with childlike wonder, his eyes wide as he watched the miracle of life unfolding. Dr. Santos, equally mesmerized, noted down every change. "This is extraordinary. We'll need to monitor it closely. But if this works, we could replicate it on a larger scale." Their success in the biodome was a promising start, but Max and Dr. Santos knew this was just the beginning. They planned a series of experiments, each designed to test different environmental setups: deserts, tundras, even aquatic systems. As the sun set over the newly vibrant planet, the Ulysses crew gathered in the observation lounge, watching the biodome's lush greenery thrive. The mood was contemplative. They were pioneers on the frontier of a new science, wielding the power to awaken worlds. The responsibility was immense, but so were the possibilities. The Ulysses Observation Lounge was abuzz with activity, a stark contrast to its usual quietude. The large panoramic windows framed the view of the thriving biodome below, where the experimental rainforest now teemed with life. Inside the lounge, the crew was preparing for a celebratory event that was both a test of their newfound control over the terraforming technology and a much-needed morale booster. Dr. Emily Santos and Max Jensen were at the center of the preparations, setting up what they had playfully named the Culinary Command Center, tables laden with various food items. As the light of a new day dawned on the planet below, the crew of the Ulysses gathered in the ship's main conference room for a debriefing that felt more like a milestone celebration. The room buzzed with an undercurrent of excitement, a shared sense of accomplishment that had transformed the once clinical atmosphere into one of camaraderie and hopeful anticipation. Captain Lisa Nguyen stood at the head of the table, her usual stern demeanor softened by the remarkable success of the previous day's experiments. She cleared her throat, drawing the attention of everyone in the room. "Team, yesterday we not only celebrated our progress, but also laid the groundwork for what could very well be a new era of planetary colonization," she began, her voice imbued with a rare warmth. "Thanks to your hard work, particularly that of Dr. Santos and Max, we've turned what could have been a disastrous mistake into a breakthrough in terraforming technology." Dr. Emily Santos, sitting beside Max, offered him a smile, which he returned with a nod of humble acknowledgement. The accidental discovery that had started with his misplaced slice of pizza had indeed come a long way. "We now understand that the alien technology integrated into the Ulysses responds to organic biosignatures, allowing us to manipulate environmental conditions with precision," Dr. Santos added, taking over the briefing. "This means we can replicate these conditions to terraform other lifeless planets, potentially making them habitable for future generations." The room erupted into murmurs of discussion about the implications of such technology, with crew members excitedly proposing various applications and improvements. Max listened, his mind racing with ideas, when Captain Nguyen raised her hand for silence once more. "While the potential is vast, we must proceed with caution," she cautioned. "We are treading in uncharted territory. Our next steps involve not just technical implementation, but also ethical considerations and collaboration with Earth's leading environmental and ethical bodies." The meeting shifted to logistics and planning. Teams were assigned to refine the terraforming protocols, enhance safety measures, and initiate communications with Earth to report their findings and seek guidance. The spirit of innovation was tempered with a commitment to responsibility, a balance that Captain Nguyen insisted upon. As the meeting concluded, Max and Dr. Santos headed to the observation deck, a quiet space that offered a panoramic view of the planet. The landscape below, once barren and inhospitable, now teemed with patches of green and blue, a testament to their efforts. "Look at what we've started, Emily," Max said, his voice a mix of awe and introspection. "It's incredible to think about the future possibilities." Dr. Santos nodded, her gaze fixed on the thriving ecosystems below. It's a big responsibility. We're not just engineers and scientists now. We're custodians of new worlds. It's a bit daunting, but exciting. The chapter closed with Max and Dr. Santos watching as a small automated shuttle descended towards the planet, carrying the first batch of scientific instruments and ecological sensors that would lay the groundwork for a future colony. The Ulysses and its crew had not only discovered a new way to interact with alien technology, but had also opened a door to the stars, promising a future where humanity could thrive across the cosmos.